Welcome to the channel. I've always loved night drives. Even growing up, if I could sneak out of the house without anyone knowing, I'd hop into my friend's pickup truck, roll down the windows, and blast music, letting the dark and the endless road ahead swallow up all my troubles. But that was long before I discovered the real reason Highway 26 is empty after sunset. What I'm about to tell you takes a lot of believing. It might not even be true, but there are things out there, ancient things, that I never would have believed if I hadn't seen them myself. And if you don't believe me now, stick around to the end and see if you can say the same thing once you hear the truth. It was late July, hot, muggy, the kind of night where the air itself feels heavy and the fireflies blink furiously in the grass. I was visiting my girlfriend in McMinnville, Oregon, about 30 minutes outside of Portland. We'd had dinner, watched a movie, and hung out at her place, and by 1 a.m. I was itching to get home to the city. So we hugged goodbye. I hopped into my beat-up old Volvo, turned up the radio, and headed north. This is the route I usually take. You stay on Highway 18 west until it merges onto Highway 26. After a while, the road bends and you can see forever. To your left is the West Hills Wildlife Area with dense trees and brush covering any landmarks. On the right is rolling farmland with fields, fences, and one lonely farmhouse every half mile or so. It's an isolated stretch with very little traffic after dark. And me being me, I rolled down the windows and let the engine hum in my ears. After about 5 minutes, my phone lit up. It was a text from my buddy Brian asking if I wanted to meet up and play some video games. "I'm heading back now. How far away?" I responded. "About 20 minutes out. How about you?" Brian texted back that he was close to the Wilson River Bridge, which meant he was about 10 minutes behind me. Since we live an hour apart, we were both halfway in between. "Cool. Meet me here in 10, I wrote, sending the coordinates for our usual game night spot, the crossroads at Verbo and Cornelius Pass Road. As I approached the intersection, my headlights pierced the darkness ahead. But something was wrong. Sitting directly in front of me on the road was a shopping cart. It was an ordinary-looking cart, except for how brightly it glistened under my lights. It almost looked wet, like it had been recently cleaned and polished. Being a Tuesday night, it also seemed highly unlikely that someone would leave a shopping cart in the middle of a deserted country road. Feeling too lazy to swerve around it, I slowed down and drifted into the oncoming lane, passing within a few feet of the cart. I expected to see a car approaching from the other direction, but the road was empty. No lights, no engine noise, just the distant chirp of crickets. As I passed the cart, though, I noticed something strange. Where the road was dry, the cart somehow had a pool of water forming inside its basket. Confused, I decided to turn around and check it out more closely. What I found next still haunts my nightmares. I drove slowly past the cart, watching out for animals or maybe another car. At the bend in the road, I finally caught sight of my headlights reflected back at me, and that's when I realized I wasn't alone. Sitting in the pool of water inside the cart was a boy. He was barefoot and soaking wet, his clothes clinging to him like a second skin. His face was pale, drawn and streaked with dirt, but his eyes were the worst, wide and black, devoid of any emotion or light. He stared straight ahead at the road without blinking, as if mesmerized by the headlights in front of him. Instinct told me to floor it and keep going, but curiosity overrode my fear. I slowed down again, inching closer. The boy didn't respond at all. He just kept staring straight ahead. Uncomfortable, I asked cautiously, "Hey, are you okay? Do you need help?" The only response was the soft lapping of water as the boy continued staring. I tried to convince myself it was just a weird homeless kid who liked soaking his feet in pools of water at midnight. But as I stared back at those soulless eyes, I felt a chill crawl up my spine. Deciding I'd seen enough, I floored the gas pedal and zoomed past him. As I glanced back, I swear our eyes met for a split second, and I saw a hint of hunger flash across his face before he turned his gaze back to my headlights. The scariest part, there was no road noise from my tires. I was driving on air. In a panic, I hit the brakes and skidded to a halt. I quickly scanned the dashboard, heart racing. No warning lights. I shifted gears and pressed the accelerator again. The car lurched forward, still silent and still moving without rolling on the wheels. For a moment, I considered turning off the ignition, jumping out and running away from the car, hoping it would crash on its own. But that was probably just wishful thinking. What I really wanted was a gun. Suddenly, I remembered the farmhouses lining the road. Someone there might be able to help. Turning the wheel sharply, I careened onto the gravel shoulder and sped down the narrow dirt road leading to the nearest house. The ground rattled as I flew over it, making the car feel like it was levitating. As I reached the farmhouse, I slammed on the brakes, skidding to a stop in front of the house. Leaping out of the car, I pounded on the front door, desperate to get someone to help me. My foot hovered over the horn, ready to blow it if necessary. After what felt like an eternity, the front door opened and a woman stood there looking at me, startled. I blurted out, "Do you have a phone? I need to call 911. She hesitated for a moment before stepping aside and letting me enter the house. Later, sitting in the sheriff's cruiser, I learned that the quiet stretch of Highway 26 had become a bit of a legend in our community. Over the years, there had been reports of cars breaking down on the road, mysterious footprints in the soil, and disturbing animal carcasses appearing overnight. But this was the first time anything or anyone had ever been found. The officer noted my disheveled appearance and the wild look in my eyes, and I knew I wouldn't be convincing him that my car was floating. He agreed to check my car and tow it in, but said that there was nothing he could do about the incident on the road. I spent the rest of the night at the station until my father came to pick me up. As he listened to the story, his face grew increasingly grim. The next day, he took me to see a psychologist who diagnosed me with anxiety and sensory processing issues. The doctor thought my hallucinations were triggered by stress and lack of sleep. My dad, on the other hand, was convinced that I'd been smoking too much pot. So what actually happened out there? Well, since no one believes me, I'll never know for sure. But sometimes when I'm driving on the highway, I look in my rearview mirror and half expect to see those glowing eyes staring back at me. If you want to hear more stories like this, stay tuned for more content.